Good morning and welcome to More Tea Minister. My name is Ian. Today we are looking at another white tea, this one from Sri Lanka. So we are starting to branch out a bit in our white teas. We've looked at some from China, we have looked at some from Japan, and from Vietnam, and we've still got some from Burma to look at, as well as some more Taiwanese and of course Chinese and Japanese ones. This one is from Komin's tea. Now, what's particularly interesting, its name, by the way, is Buddika's Silver Tip Tea. Seems appropriate to mention the name of the tea before I start rambling on. What's intriguing about this one is that this is from the Forest Hill plantation, or at least the tea is, shall we say, commissioned from Forest Hill. The Komin's tea description says that it's outgrowers, the farmers or producers out with the Forest Hill plantation who are providing this white tea, but whose product and whose means of creating the product match Forest Hill's environmental and socially minded way of doing things. The Forest Hill plantation itself is very intriguing because it's largely reclaimed from the forest. I think people often forget that tea plants are often kept at the level of a bush, but they're actually trees. And if you leave them for something like 150 years, you have a forest. And certainly a lot of the Forest Hill products themselves are harvested from the trees, which is rather intriguing. So this is another white tea. It's from Sri Lanka. We're going to take a look at the tea inside, and then in part 3 we'll talk more about the tea and we will view it as well. So see you then. Hello, welcome to part 2 of our video. Normally I don't look at the packaging for Komin's tea. That is not meant as any kind of criticism, but as I've said before, I tend not to look at packaging, sort of the standard packaging from a company, unless there's some distinguishing feature. However, given that we're going to be taking a look at the tea as well, it's only seemed appropriate to be looking at the packaging as well. So this is a 50-gram package from Komin's tea. I'm used to their packaging taking a slightly more narrow and elongated form, but that's, I suppose, because it's often been packaging for rolled oolongs, which can be packed a bit differently. This is, after all, white tea. So you can see in this slightly larger print, this is Buddika's Silver Tip Tea. And then down here, we have Komin Tea's motto. I'm going to focus in a bit here, and I'm sure I will have to move this upwards. But I just wanted to be able to see what the information provided by Komin's is telling us. This is probably still a little bit small, so let me try and improve that slightly. There we go. This is from Buddika, Disana Yaka. I'm sure I have mangled his name, and I apologise. The origin of the tea is outgrowers in the Adams Peak area. I think that's to distinguish it from, strictly speaking, tea from within the Forest Hill plantation. Harvest time is throughout the year. The production is hand processed by skilled artisans. In other words, it's all small scale and small batch production. The experience, a beautifully light floral cup, and some information there for our brewing parameters, 90 degrees centigrade for 2 to 3 minutes. I'll have to do some digging as to the amount of water that's required. So that's the first part of part 2. A little clumsy, I'm sorry. We're now going to take a look at the tea itself. So here we are taking a look at the tea itself. As I'm sure you all guessed it by the name of the tea, it's a silver needle grade tea, so it's all composed entirely of tea buds, although there are 1 or 2 fragments otherwise. The colour is a lovely, very pale green, not quite a silvery colour, though there are some sort of silvered edges. I can only see 1 or 2 pieces that have undergone any kind of oxidation, and some outliers that are dark green needles. Other than that, it looks really, really very, very inviting. The smell, even from a distance, it's almost ripe fruit, almost banana, believe it or not, just subtle hints of that. But the tea itself is a fairly uniform colour. It's silver needle grade, and I'm very much looking forward to trying it. Back in a mo. Hello and welcome to part 3 of our video on review of Buddika's silver tip tea from Comins Tea. It's a Sri Lankan white tea. The tea has been brewed Western style, so it's already, and the way we do it, it's pre-brewed, pre-steeped, pre-strained over here and just keeping warm. So all we need is our transparent jug to be able to take a look at the tea and our drinking vessel. The brewing parameters were 2.5 grams of tea per 200 mils of water. So we've gone for 5 grams to 400 mils of water, 90 degrees centigrade, and between 2 to 3 minutes. We've gone for the full 3 minutes. So let's take a look at the tea in question. Well, just to look at it, it's got the kind of usual greeny gold yellow, that spot on colour that I would associate with a white tea on the nose from the jug. There's still that ripe fruits quality to it, with a slight hint of spice, something slightly baked, something slightly spicy. It doesn't have that in-your-face freshness that you might get with a green tea, with a white tea. It's altogether something more sort of indulgent. Let's try it again smell it again from the cup this time. There's a little more of the fruit and the sweetness, but do you know, there's almost like a savoury quality to it. I think that's what comes across as a kind of savoury sweetness. I meant to say that's where the spice comes from. To drink it, it's really indulgent. Almost comes across as slightly viscous. It's indulgent, it's rich, it isn't just a sort of monotone sweetness. There's something almost syrupy about it, something slightly spicy as well, but still something slightly savoury, and that's very intriguing. I haven't come across that in a white tea before, certainly not a silver needle tea. Let's try another one, because that's really very interesting. It's not pure sweetness, and it's not monotone. The flavour is lingering on the palate here. That's really quite amazing. It tells me that the brewing parameters are absolutely spot on. So spot on there to Comins Tea. I'm intrigued by that slightly savoury quality. I've been trying a few white teas and reviewing them here with a really complex sweetness. So that's not a surprise, but that slightly savoury baked quality isn't something I've come across. Really makes this stand out. So it's really very satisfying, very enjoyable, very satisfying. And I'm wondering if it is clinging to the cup. It's very slightly, but that's pretty impressive. So let's sum this up. It's really very satisfying. It's not pure sweetness. It's not a simple sweetness either. There's that slightly spicy quality, that savoury note that really makes it stand out, almost like a baked quality. It's almost like it's moving into an oolong territory there. The flavour lingers, the brewing parameters are spot on. So from that perspective, it's absolutely fantastic. Forest Hill products are available from other websites. I've never come across, I've never tried buying them directly from Forest Hill. Other Sri Lankan estates, I have done so. I don't know whether this particular tea, because it uses outgrowers products, can be obtained through Forest Hills or not. So the question of availability, of course, you can go through Comins to do so. Is it easy to prepare? I'm not going to try it Gongfu style, simply the Western, but That was simplicity itself, and absolutely spot on. So, putting to one side the availability question, because lots of silver needle white teas out there, but this particular one, I haven't done enough research to say whether it's scarce or otherwise. But on all other fronts, it's absolutely wonderful. So, a hearty recommendation from me, and well worth chasing if you want a white tea, a silver needle white tea with a slightly different flavor profile. In my own time, I might do this gong fu and record my thoughts on that later. But other than that, a hearty recommendation, happy steeping, and God bless.